All right, so also permit me to share my screen. Okay. Yeah, can you see my screen?
Yes, I can see it.
Yes, sir. You can see it too.
Okay, awesome. So, like I said, today we'll be discussing Git or version control. When we talk about version control, we are talking about the ability to um, keep histories of your work. All right? Keep histories of your work. Do not forget that. Now, let's assume you are working on a project and we are given 3 months, or you gave the clients 3 months to deliver. Let's say it's an app, a web app, where you can log in, you can create an account, log out, and you can do something inside that app. And you said, this project you've given me, I'm going to complete it in 3 months, and you'll have it. And then after a couple of weeks of writing the project from one script to the other, from one display or one UI to the other, you were writing, it's like 2 months. You've been on the project, you're making serious project progress. You've been showing your progress to the person that you are working for, maybe on a weekly basis, 2 weeks. And then let's say a couple of weeks, 2 weeks to when the project is done, something happened, something mysterious, maybe something bad. Either your laptop got bad or your laptop was stolen, the hard drive crashed, the RAM stopped working, something just happened. And all the work you've been doing was on that PC. Now, this in fact, it's a very simplified problem, but we run into this kind of problems on a daily as software developers. We run into this kind of issues where you just woke up, your PC wouldn't boot. You just woke up, something just happened, and then your PC keeps restarting. Now, this is where version control becomes really important, because you need to be able to keep histories of your work. And you could actually keep histories and they will still be in your hard drive. And when this kind of situation that I just explained happens, you lose every touch with that project. And in terms of Git, we refer to this as a local Git or a local Git repository, which means the histories you are keeping, you are still keeping them within your hard drive, within your PC. They are just living within your PC. They're not living on any other person's PC. They're not living on the internet. So we call this kind of history keeping or record keeping local, which means it's still local to your particular system, your particular machine. All right. So there's another type of version control that we refer to as remote version control, which means you are keeping histories of your work, but you are now keeping a copy of these histories you are keeping that is on your PC. You are keeping a copy of it elsewhere on a cloud system, on the internet, somewhere aside your PC. Not even on because I didn't mention the case where maybe you might decide to keep copies of that work, histories of it, maybe on a flash drive. All right, so aside a flash drive, something that is within your means, you're keeping records somewhere else on another person's PC, maybe somewhere in the cloud, somewhere to another computer elsewhere in the world. So this kind of records or this kind of history keeping is referred to as remote uh, histories or remote version control. All right, so this is actually the idea that we want to actually teach you today, or we want to demo to you. How do you do this? All right, so another, this is just one way of explaining the use case of version control. Another way of actually explaining all the use case of version control is that it enhances collaboration between developers. If you see the short notes that I gave while inviting you to this call, I said people are able to work simultaneously on the same project, on the same repo, because of version control systems. Now, myself and the team members that are part of TechVerse, a lot of us, I don't think any of us have ever seen face to face, like physically, but we've gotten to know ourselves because we've been working day in, day out on several projects. How is this possible? It is because of version control. Now, this is very, very vital to your journey, because from the next, after you submit the current work that you are doing, you are going to have a series of work that will require you to work with someone else. So this is why the knowledge you are going to gain this evening is very, very important. I think I have made a very good argument why we need Git. So I've talked about um, a lot of things. I've talked about collaboration. I've talked about keeping records or keeping histories of your work. All right. And then you can actually track histories. All right. So let's assume at some point you are doing your development using the example I gave of having a project to deliver to someone. You are working on it, and then at some point a bug was introduced into the project. You can actually revert back in time. You can go back, but you just know that last week this project was working fine. Everything worked fine. But based on the work I've done so far, I've introduced a bug that is making it not work as I want. So you can actually revert back in history in time, and then you pick up the work again. So these are some of the advantages or the reasons why we use Git. And then we have the steps of actually using Git. The first thing is to first of all initialize or start Git. All right. So you might be thinking maybe these Git that I'm mentioning and GitHub, they're actually the same thing. But no, they are not. Git is actually a technology upon which GitHub was built. And Git, you can use Git whether you are connected to the internet or you are offline. So I can actually be working on a project and I'm committing it to Git. Like the example I gave was where I have it locally on my PC. I'm actually committing to Git, branching, and I have not even made any push to the internet. Like the work has not left my local Git to GitHub, but yet I'm keeping histories of that work. So Git is actually a version control system that not just GitHub use. You might have even heard of things like Mercury, Git buckets, right? All of these are actually a lot of services that use Git. Okay, and then after initializing Git, you actually stage changes, and then you commit these changes, and then you can now do more by branching out or pushing to remote channels such as GitHub. All right. So we are going to have a follow-up class to actually demonstrate more advanced um, concept of Git. I'm going to organize with another of our developers to actually do it with me so that you can see in real time what we are actually trying to make you understand. So probably, I don't know, maybe next week we'll take out a little time just to demo it between myself and someone else. But just the basics of it, I'm going to go into my file system right now and go to documents and go to projects and no, not projects. Oh, supposed to be doing demoing with Windows. Okay. Sorry, give me one moment. I totally forgot that most of us are using the Windows operating system, so I need to demo with Windows. So it is easy to follow along. One moment, please. Sorry, just give me a couple of minutes. I'm booting my device, Windows device, and I'll just join the call with it, and then uh, okay. So while that is actually booting up, let me demo with these. Maybe I'll just do a repeat of what I'm doing here on Windows, and then we can actually have access to it. All right, so let's say I create a new folder here and call it demos. And there's my class demo. So let's say I have this folder, and let me quickly open this with um, command line, live class demo. And this is the folder that I just created. Nothing is inside this folder. I'm just going to go ahead and open it with my editor. And you can see that this project is actually completely empty right now. And then let's say I add what most of your projects would actually have when you are developing readme.md. Let's say I have just this file inside of this project. And any file ending with .md is actually, we refer to them as markdowns, which are just textual files that either illustrate something or gives instruction of processes on how something is done. All right, so That's the basic use of markdowns, but there are advanced uses of markdowns. Now, let's say I have a very simple header here that says my personal portfolio, right? And then I save this, and this file exists. At this point, you can see both here and within the folder structure, the folder file system, is just this file that is existing. There's nothing else that is here. But I want this folder to actually exist on Git. Now, I want to track changes that is made to this folder. Now, like I said, the steps in which you use Git, the first thing is to initialize. So the first thing I need to do to actually start using Git with this project, with this folder that I'm working on, is to type the word or the keyword Git init. Now, this is initialize in programming. It's always a word that is used to begin something. So that's why you might see it, this init in a lot of other processes. You might see it in other places like npx init, npm init. We have git init. We have, so you understand, you understand the point. So init is like initializing. I'm trying to start Git here. So if I hit enter now, it creates a little folder or file and begins to track these whole projects. Now, what it is using to actually track it is a hidden file. We'll not go into that because it's a bit advanced. But now, if you look critically at this folder, you can see that this file I created a while ago is now saying U. Now, this U in Git terms means untracked, which means that even if I have initialized Git here, this current file that I have, this readme.md, which is inside this folder being tracked, is actually not being staged yet. It's not being tracked. And it's not, the history, his history is not being actually snapshotted or kept in the Git system. So what Git actually does behind the scene is take snapshots of your files. So if you made changes or you made progress in your project to a certain point, Git takes a snapshot of where you've gotten to, and it keeps them anytime you stage them and commit them. Now, for me to now start tracking this README file, first of all, what I need to do is use the keyword git add. Now, after you have the keyword git add, you enter the name of what you want to add to the staging area. In this case, what we want to add is readme.md. So if I run this command now, git add readme.md, what I'm essentially saying is I want to stage this guy. So if I hit enter, you see that immediately I hit enter, that the U you saw a while ago just changed to A, which means this current file now has been added to the staging area. It is now being tracked. All right. However, the process is still not complete yet until I commit it. All right. So committing is what completes the process. It's like the key you use to lock every snapshot. It's like what you use to take is like the archive, the place where you archive every history that you actually are trying to keep. So if to actually complete this process now, I need to run another command, which is git commit -m, and I'll state the name that I want to use. So whenever I want to refer back to what I had at this history, if I call either this name or the key that will be given to me by Git, I will be actually giving the changes I made at this point. So a lot of times the keyword we use is initial commit, which is the keyword you use for the first commit that you make. All right. So if I hit enter at this point, oops, one moment. If I hit enter, now you see that the whole process is now complete. Why? Because both the U and the A that we are showing here are no longer showing. Now it means that the process has been completed. And if you see the summary I'm giving here, it says one file change, one file inserted, and then it created a mode and gave us a key to actually refer back to the time I took this snapshot or the time I kept this history. So this is the basics or the simplified, a very simplified version of using Git. So the first thing you do is you initialize Git in a project. And if you initialize Git in a project, you can only do the initialization process just once. It's not that every time you need to work again, you need to initialize. Once a file, a project has been initialized, now if I type git init again, it tells me, look, this project that you are trying to add, it has already been added to Git. So if I try to initialize it again, it's not going to allow me to do it because you can only initialize a project, a folder once. All right. So once that folder has been added to the Git system, you cannot add it again. So the only thing is to now use this Git to track the changes that are made to this folder or this project. So anytime there's a change that is done, the system will actually alert you. Let's say after the header, I want to now give an intro. So I now type intro, let's say it's another header. And I say something like, in this project, I have created, oops, let me get this guy out of the way. I have created a simple portfolio project to display my skills as a developer. This is just random. Now, after writing this part, this intro and this little write-up, if I save this work now, just what will happen. Now, Git is telling me, look, from the time I took a snapshot of this particular project, something has been done to it again, and then you get the flag M added to the file again. Now, this M means that a modification has been done. Now, we've seen A, which is that we've seen rather U, which is untracked, which means you are not tracking that file. It's not being followed by Git. Git is not taking snapshots. It's not keeping histories of it. And then we've seen A, which is I've added it to Git and it's now being tracked. And then we saw that there was nothing, which means I've committed it. And now M, which means modified. I have made modifications to this file after the last snapshot. So for me to now commit this again, I just need to do another git add. Git add. Now, if we only have README here, that's why I keep using README. But if you had a lot of files and you don't want to go ahead naming all of them one after the other, you can use git space dot, which means I want to add everything. I want to add everything that I've made changes to. All right. I want to add everything that I've made changes to in the after the last commit that I did into the tracking system. All right. So that's when you use the dot. But if it's just a single file, one file or two files, you can just call them by their names and Git will add them for you. And then you can now do Git commit. Let's say I want to call this added the intro header. And commit it. All right. So at this point, I will open the room up for questions. If you have any question, please ask.
Sir, sorry, I want to say something. Please, sir, sorry, I understand this Git, right? But currently now, though I've not used Git for a very long time, but the thing is that the MacBook is different from Windows. Sometimes saying that I don't know if next time we can use Windows because currently it's kind of confusing me. Even myself is confusing me like this now. Like looking at it, it's
Okay.
confusing me.
Okay. I'm not going to wait for a long time. I'm going to sit down, watch this video, and repeat the same processes with a Windows machine so that we'll have it on the channel. You can actually watch. Please, if you have any challenge, anything you don't understand on that, you come back to our group and raise a topic. All right? Come back to the group, the WhatsApp group, and raise a question. I think I saw this on the video, but I don't quite understand it. Don't just keep quiet, please. All right. So
Okay,
I'm going
sir.
to do another recording with Windows, and I'm going to upload it on the channel.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
All right. Okay, I can see that you dropped a message actually outlining that. That's why I was trying to join with a Windows machine, but it was taking so much time, so I had to proceed with this. All right. So, any other questions so that we can draw the curtain for today? Like I said, maybe myself and Mr. Ishola or myself and Mr. Ani or one of the other developers would actually do a more advanced um, series on this, probably a series or a couple of videos, so that it gets you from a basic user to an advanced user. But I hope today you've actually learned something. But if you have any confusion, any question, go ahead and ask, please.
Good evening, sir. It's John. My own question is still same thing. The way it's displayed on the MacBook is different from that of Windows, so it's kind of confusing for beginners or starters like us to catch up because it's kind of like much, and the display the way it is here, it's a bit difficult for us to assimilate.
Okay, okay. All right. So like I said, I'm going to see to that. I actually have forgotten that when I asked the question of our OS, it was Windows. I'm supposed to actually start up the video or the meeting with Windows so that I can properly demonstrate it to us, and we'll understand the environment. Okay, so I'm going to actually go ahead and, like I told Jesse, record something similar to this, explaining it using a Windows machine, and then let us have the video, all right? So, in a message is said, this is not an OS issue, but your terminal. Oh, okay. I think one of my developers just made a very, very huge point. I think it's because of the way my terminal is actually arranged, or the way I set it up, or is it the positioning? I don't really understand, but I'll try to see if I can mimic, arrange it in a way that it will be very clear to us. Where do I even hold this thing again if I want to drag it and keep at the bottom? Because of Zoom. Zoom is overriding a lot of things, except if I end the video. I think we can call it a night. I am going to just do a replica of this video with Windows, like I had promised, and I'll upload both of them. Then, if you have any question, please do not hesitate. Ask your questions on the group chat. All right. Any other comments before we go? Comment, question?
And so I want to ask again, sorry, this today's topic, this today's one is just like the basics of Git, using Git, how to initial, first creating the local repository before we haven't. I think would there be more classes on this, like connecting
Yes,
it to
yes. Like
the
I
remote
said, we are
repository,
going
how
to,
to Git pull and push? Okay.
yes, we are going to create. I'm going to have myself and another developer join me so that we can demonstrate. Because if I'm explaining Git branching like this to you, and Git pushing and pulling just with me alone, you might not really understand it. But if I have another person join me and we demonstrate it, you see in real time how you can be working with somebody who is in Ukraine, who is in Russia, who is in the US, in Europe, or in another state in Nigeria. All right. So that's why I think it will be more, it will be better for us if I have somebody from another location and demo it in your in video form, and you can see, okay, these the changes I had, but when I pulled their own work, I have it changed. When I push and they pull, they have what I just did on their own. All right. So we are going to work on that so that we can have a clearer um, view on Git. So with that said, we need to wrap things up now. So please try and go through the materials and ask your questions.
Sorry, sir. I want to ask a question, please.
Go ahead.
But it's not on this particular base and fundamentals of Git. I want to ask, what's the difference between cloning a repository and pulling the repository?
Okay. The difference between
Like
clone
cloning
and
it, yes.
pulling. All right. So I have 1 minute. Now let me use very quick term. If you are cloning, it means have you don't have that repository already on your machine. All right. So the first time you want to either join a project or work on something, and the repository already exists, on the internet on GitHub, then you need to clone. Okay, but if you are pulling, it means you already have the cloned version of the project in your machine, but you want to now get the latest changes that are made to that project. So in that case, what you do is you pull. You are pulling the recent changes that you did not have before in your own copy. All right. So that's a very direct difference between cloning a repository and pulling a branch in the repository. All right.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Okay. We are out of time. Please prepare very well for next week. Be on time so that we can have a lot of time to do stuff. Have a lovely night. Bye-bye.